And we are live. What's going on, Fitness on Fire community? This is Coach Josh Graves. I'm here today with our registered dietitian, Tami Broderick. What up, Miss Tammy?
Hey, everybody.
All right. And you guys are tuning into our Lunch and Learn Hour. This is going to be at 1:30 p.m. on Fridays, as long as we have incredibly educated professionals to connect you guys with. And we're just trying to bring you awesome content, good news, positivity, things that are going to keep you healthy, motivated, and moving. So I'm going to drop the intro one time. This Fitness on Fire TV. Okay, 1:30 p.m. on Fridays, guys. Check it out for our Lunch and Learns. I'm just connecting with the smartest people I know. These are people that teach me every day, and Tammy has been teaching me for almost 4 years now, I believe. Tammy, 4 years?
Yeah, 4 years.
4 years. So Tammy's like family at Fitness on Fire. And if you are a Fitness on Fire member and you don't yet know Tammy because you come in the early mornings or in the late evenings or something, you guys don't happen to catch each other, you're missing out, man. Take a class with Tammy, get in touch with her. She's a wealth of information. Today, I believe we're going to be diving into a lot with inflammation in general and how it affects your immune system. And just to kind of give you guys a little background on Tammy, and then I got to turn over to Tammy and we'll hear from her today. But Tammy's been a registered dietitian since 2006, almost 20 years in the industry doing this work, right? Incredible. Her expertise is in areas of weight loss, diabetes, food sensitivity. I know you guys do a lot of different kinds of testing there. What all do you do with your testing in your practice, Tammy?
So yeah, I do food sensitivity testing. I can do stool testing, which is an amazing test. I can do micronutrient testing. So for people who really want to get a handle on their health, we can look at it from a cellular perspective and really dial in on what they need to do nutritionally and with food to, make them be at the top of their game.
Love it, love it. And then I also read in your bio a while back ago about therapeutic diets. I think that's a pretty specific niche that not a lot of people, everybody wants like a meal plan. Could you explain the difference between what like a therapeutic diet is? I'm just kind of curious.
Sure. So, people want a meal plan, and there's various reasons for meal plans. For some people, it's to lose weight. And so you want to give someone, you count macros, right? So, your carbs, your proteins, your fats. With a therapeutic meal plan, it's different because they might have something wrong with their digestive tract, or they might have an autoimmune disease. And so depending on what they have going on in their body, I will give them a very specific diet with certain foods that have certain chemicals, bioactives, that are going to help them get on that road to being healthy again. So that's kind of the difference. I still look at macronutrients, but I change the types of food that go into that meal plan, so that way they get the most out of it. Sorry, my computer decided to go black.
No worries.
You probably still see me, but you all disappeared.
No worries. We good. All right. Well, cool. Well, good to know. Thanks for being here today, Ms. T. Anything else before we dive into our topics today about inflammation and immune system? Anything else that you want us to know about healthy, fit nutrition or your practice or what it is that you do?
So sure. I mean, healthy. I am in private practice. I've been in private practice since 2010. And so I'm in Corona Del Mar, not far from Fitness on Fire, probably just 10 minutes up the road. I offer, like Josh said earlier, all kinds of testing. So my very favorite test right now is the stool test, which I'm going to talk about today in the meeting, in our talk, the importance of gut health. And so gut health is key to everything. And being able to do that quick test in your home, you don't have to go to the doctor to do it. I can give you the test. You can do it at your house. I get the results and we go over it, and it's a game changer. I love it. And so I do all kinds of different testing. If you just want your standard, hey, I want to lose a few pounds, we can do that too. I do virtual, right? This whole quarantine has really pushed me to take my practice more virtual. So I have the ability to do that, but then also face-to-face too.
That's awesome. Super cool. Awesome, Ms. T. And then we were going to talk about inflammation today, right? Like that, it's such a buzzword. Everybody's heard this talk about inflammation. And I think some of us understand that inflammation is it's like the dark side of the force. It's like really it's the thing that's underlying all things really that makes disease happen, injury happen, a lot of this stuff. So I'd love to kind of try and troubleshoot inflammation today. So could we start by maybe just talking about that? Like, what is inflammation?
Absolutely. So inflammation is pretty much the body's attempt at protecting itself and healing itself, right? So you, for instance, there are foreign substances, chemicals that will go into the body and cause harm, and your body creates inflammation to be able to try to get rid of those things. So Josh touched a little bit on, there's two different kinds of inflammation, right? You have acute inflammation and you have chronic inflammation. Anybody that is an athlete understands acute inflammation, right? You jump off a wall wrong, you roll your ankle, you twist it, you fall down. First thing you experience is pain. The second thing you experience is, boom, your ankle now looks like this, right? So what your body has done is it has flooded that area with fluid, and in that fluid are healing. It's basically your immune system is a big part. You've got certain chemicals, certain cells, certain enzymes, certain, goodies that, without using too many 18-letter words, that will go in there and basically remove the bad cells.
Those are cytokines, are there? What is it there? Yes. Is that what it is?
It is. It's cytokines are one of the things. Absolutely. They're inflammatory cytokines is what they're called.
Okay.
And
I'm just saying, Fitness on Fire community, your boy Josh be pulling some rabbits out of a hat sometimes. That's old. That's old.
I try not to use too many of those words because I watch people's eyes glaze over when I start saying those words. But yes, they're called inflammatory cytokines. And what they do is they go in and they heal the area that's been damaged and clean it all up. And so your system, your leg, for instance, let's say you hurt your ankle, right? It's swollen because your body is trying to tell you not to move, right? You don't want to move that area so that the body can go in and heal it. So a couple weeks, right? You rest, you ice, you do the things that you're supposed to do. Inflammation goes away. It's temporary. So that's what acute is short term. So just so you guys know too, anytime you see the word itis, right? Itis is the medical terminology word for inflammation. So you have bronchitis. You've got inflammation of the bronchia and the lungs. You've got tendonitis. Now you have inflammation of the tendons. You have arthritis, inflammation of the joint. So we all know the words for inflammation, but what we don't know is that there is inflammation that's inside of us as well. And that is more or less the chronic inflammation. That's silent for a long time, or it can be silent for a very long time. You don't even know it's there, potentially. We have clues, we have signs and symptoms that we see, but we tend to, if we don't have a huge symptom that's debilitating or that takes us down, we tend to just play it off. Like prime example, I have clients all the time that say, oh yeah, I take Tums, or I'll take Nexium because I have really bad GERD. Anytime I, eat certain foods, I have really bad GERD and I can't control it. And so I take an antacid and I'm good, right? GERD is inflammation, right? That is your body's response to whatever food you're eating that it doesn't like. And so that is inflammation that happens. So then, just to play that scenario out, right? You start taking Nexium, these over-the-counter antacids. You take them, you fix that temporary symptom, but what's happening in the back end is now you're lowering your stomach acid, right? You're lowering your stomach acid, and now you've got the bacteria that are supposed to be there to help you digest food, digest proteins, kill off bad bacteria that hitch rides on our salads and other foods that we eat. They can't do that. And now you've got some opportunistic bacteria that start taking up house in your digestive tract because you don't have the acid to kill them. And now you've got what's known as dysbiosis, which can lead to, another term called leaky gut, right? Which can lead to food sensitivities, which leads to inflammation. Right? So it's like this one little thing that starts out here and ends up 10 years down the road, way over there. Right? Does that make sense?
Thinking, though, right? Yeah, I mean, it makes a lot of sense. I think what's interesting is that there's so many short-term fixes that it seems like people are always searching for. It's like, I'll do anything to get rid of my heartburn or anything to get rid of my whatever, right? Except for I'll eat better food, sleep more, drink water, and exercise. Like, I'll do anything except that stuff. Give me any pill.
Yeah, exactly.
Any pill that'll work that'll get rid of my symptoms, but I won't even think about fixing the root cause.
No.
Right. But then what happens is you're robbing Peter to pay Paul. You're stealing happiness from tomorrow because your body is telling you, your body's saying, look, dude, I don't like the way you're feeding me. I'm giving you a response that's unfavorable because of the way you're treating me. And then what we're doing is taking something to shut up those signs.
Yep.
And the body in its almighty wisdom is working behind us then to eventually continue to get those signs back out, right? So when our body's telling us something, if we listen and we pivot and we get to the root cause of fixing inflammation, we don't have to be living off of Tums and Nexium and antacids and all this other junk that most people are. It's it's actually a black family thing. Unfortunately, sorry for my African American families on today, but it's like a black family thing. Like I grew up with Pepto-Bismol in the refrigerator. It's like you eat, like that's just it. It's like if you're in a black family, like we gonna eat dinner tonight, and then we gonna give some Pepto-Bismol afterwards. That's just after dinner. That's like dessert. Like really? Like I gotta live up. Like it's anyways.
It's true though. I mean, we all do it. We all do it in different ways, and so that's where what I try to do in my practice is find the root cause, find the why. Why do you have all of these things? I could give you a list as long as my arm of different disease states. Like, this COVID virus has brought up a really big shortcoming in our country in that, who's most vulnerable, right? It's 2/3 of our population is most vulnerable. If you have diabetes, if you have heart disease, if you have any kind of lung issue, if you're a smoker, past smoker, autoimmune disease, all those people are at risk. All of those signs, all of those morbidities, as they call them, are from long-term unchecked inflammation. And so, you start looking at, those, plus then you've got high blood pressure, you've got cancer, you've got Parkinson's, you've got dementia. It's all a result of inflammation that's been left unchecked for a long, long time. And the thing though that we could go on and on about all the bad things, right, that inflammation happens, but one of the things I want to talk about today is that, we do live in a little bit of a toxic world, right? We're exposed to chemicals, we're exposed to toxins everywhere. So you're going to get exposed to them. Our bodies were designed to detoxify toxins that come our way and get rid of them. I mean, that's sort of the whole, we're supposed to be a self-contained unit, right? We get affected by chemicals and toxins, we clean them out, we get rid of them, we move on. And as long as you take care of this vessel that we've been given, right, we can continue to do that for a long time. But it's so, like I was talking to one of my clients the other day, just to give you like an example of a toxin, right? People don't think that Tanya did a really good talk last week about detoxifying your home. And some of those things, I tell all my clients too about the house, the chemicals. Things though that we want to pay attention, especially the athletes, which is this, this whole population that I'm talking to right now, is when you're out there and you're running and training, where you're running and training can put you at risk if you're not careful. So like all my golfers, right? Golf courses are pristine and beautiful for a reason, right? There are more bug sprays and fertilizers and chemicals on that piece of property than anywhere. And so if you spend 2 days on the golf course, spend 8 hours a week on a golf course, you're getting exposed to toxins, right? And chemicals. If you go into a hot tub every single night, guess what? You're being exposed to chlorine, which is a toxin. So that doesn't mean you can't live and do these things. It just means that at the end of the day, when you go home to eat, if you're feeding your body, Burger King and a 6-pack of beer versus a nice mixed green salad with salmon and lemon and olive oil on top.
And at least one beer, right? Just one beer?
Yeah, we can have one beer.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. Limited alcohol is fine. Your body can tolerate it, right? It's just when we throw in 6 beers that it has a little it struggles. Right. So that's kind of the whole point is I don't want to sound all doom and gloomy that, okay, we got all these things, but we can take care of ourselves by food, by diet. Diet is like, number one. It's 80% for weight loss and it's 80% for health or more. Right? Your diet is sort of the key. There was something I wanted to say earlier. I'm trying
Can
to
I touch on the diet piece for a second, though?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, I think it's also something to be said about, I've been touching a lot on this idea of like compound interest. And there's a lot of ways you can think about this, but think about it like a bank account. In it's funny because all the professionals I talk to have some reference like this in a different way. My physical therapist calls it body capital. And I was talking about your wellness bank account the other day. So this idea that what makes eating hard, I think, for people is if you had a hamburger and it was like an 80% chance you'd have a heart attack if you ate that one single hamburger, a lot less people would eat hamburgers. Like people picked up hamburgers like, oh no, dude, it got me. Like, oh man, I'm not sure I'm gonna eat that hamburger today. It's risky. But the problem is that a lot of this stuff is compounding. It's you breaking news, but if you eat a hamburger today, you're probably not gonna die of a heart attack immediately.
Nope.
But if you ate a hamburger every single day, eventually you will die of a heart attack, like guaranteed. Like it will add up and compound. So it's like you do something really simple for long enough and it compounds into something massive. And it's also the other way for our health though. If we're so it's like we're either feeding disease and an ailment or we're feeding our immune system and our wellness, right? So every decision you make takes you on this fork in the road. It's either moving you closer to health or further away from health. And Tammy's point a minute ago is we have enough things and enough toxins and environmental stresses for our body and inflammation that are already moving us a step away from health. So what we control actively is eating real good food and putting positive things into our body. It's like if I was on the golf course for 5 hours today and that was a negative $10 withdrawal out of my bank account, but then I go home and I crush some greens, I drink some water, I eat a good hearty meal, and I put $20 in my wellness account, I'm positive my immune system is moving that way. Yep. Right? So I think that's the catch is it's little things do add up. It's like the straw that broke the camel's back. And oftentimes the broken camel's back is a disease. It's an injury. It's illness, right? Keep your wellness bank account balance high.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, and there's lots of foods that we can put, and so I sent over to Josh an Immune Boosting Cookbook, and there's about 30, 33, 35 recipes somewhere in there. And so he'll email it out to all of you. If you've been watching the news at all, there's certain vitamins, certain minerals that automatically boost the immune system, right? So I thought, well, it'll take 3 seconds to talk about those and then we can move on, right? So glad I'm eating a salad. That's good salads. But to not sound totally cliche, the number one food are dark leafy greens. I'm not kidding. It sounds so silly. It's sort of like
vegetables.
Huh?
Cruciferous vegetables.
Absolutely, yes. Cruciferous are a big one. So the thing with the crucifers, try to eat them raw or lightly steamed. So the kales, the broccoli, the Brussels sprouts, those mustard greens, collard greens, raw is best and slightly steamed. The longer you cook them, the less beneficial they will be for you. But some of my favorites that I would like all of you guys to put in right now is turmeric, ginger, garlic, onions. Those four, not only, so there's an inflammatory pathway called NF-kappa B, and it's a big one. It's sort of the inflammation builder, if you will, of the body. Those four foods shut that pathway off.
It was turmeric, garlic, onions, and what else?
What did I say? Garlic and ginger. Did you get ginger? Yeah, ginger. So one of my favorite things to do is to take fresh ginger and fresh lemon and just slice them up and stick it in warm water and sip it. Because you get the juice from the lemon, which is detoxifying. The essential oil from the lemon has another benefit, which is also detoxifying. And then the ginger is and or turmeric. You can do either one or both. Anti-inflammatory, antimicrobial, antibacterial. Plus, they shut off that inflammatory pathway. So you can't. Those are like powerhouse. You can't go wrong with them. Let's see, what other goodies did I want to talk about?
Can we talk about inflammation as it pertains to exercise? That's an interesting note too, right? Because we're talking about inflammation as it pertains to wellness, but we talked about acute inflammation as it pertains to exercise. We gave the example, if you rolled your ankle, that your body's going to get inflamed. That's part of the healing process, the response to the rolled ankle, get the scar tissue and the whatever, get the junk stuff out of there and get your ankle back to normal. But there is still chronic inflammation also pertains to the workout world, right? If I am chronically inflamed, isn't it possible I'm going to see more injuries and more pain and things like that along my training journey?
Oh, absolutely. So you need to be smart. You need to train smart because there are studies that show excessive exercise. And when I say excessive exercise, it's like 3 hours, 4 hours a day of hard, that causes inflammation. And when your whole body is inflamed like that, your immune system is having to work double time and in order to be able to combat that. And the other thing that will happen is when you're overtraining, you do set yourself up at risk. Again, I'm not a trainer, but I've had enough classes to know that if you're overtraining, you're going to put your tendons, your ligaments, your joints at risk for injury, which is then going to be acute, right? So you might have this chronic low-grade inflammation, but if you keep push, you're not fueling properly. You're not giving yourself the food to allow you to heal. You're not resting. You're not sleeping. You're not drinking water, right? You're going to kind of implode. You're going to feel terrible, and you're not going to be able to fight off, let's say, COVID aside, let's just say like the common cold, right? You won't even be able to fight off a common cold because if you're so inflamed, your immune system can only handle so much stress. It's having to focus on fixing what's currently broken.
Yeah, the biggest fix first, and the first.
It prioritizes, right? So is that kind of what you wanted, or did you want?
Yeah, no, you're spot on, Tammy. I love it, man. I was gonna say that two thoughts that came to mind for me. One is that some people, like maybe if you're new to the topic of inflammation, you're like, well, gosh, that sounds complicated. Like, how do I know if I'm chronically inflamed or not? Here's how you know. Like, everything hurts. My stomach's upset. I have heartburn. My elbows, my joints aren't happy. Like, all of that stuff, your body is a really awesome, smart machine. Your body tells you and gives you signals about the things that are not going the way they're supposed to go. So if you're waking up and you're brain foggy, if you're waking up and your body is angry for some reason, you haven't done anything to make it angry. If you're not digesting food properly, if your stool is you're not regular in your digestive process, these are all signs that you're not taking care of something with your body. And a lot of the times, for me, I tell our clients a lot of the times the four pillars of the four legs a table stands on. You've got your smart exercise, nutrition, stress management, right, and proper sleep. Those four things are very controllable for most people. You need to sleep well, you need to drink water, you need to eat good food. That's in the same nutrition category. But stress management is partially what we just talked about as well. Stress isn't just because your boss is yelling at you. Stress is a lot of things, right? Exercise in some lights is stressful to the human system. So to Tammy's point, though, the couple times I get sick, or like after like a bit, if I go and crush a huge Spartan race, I typically get sick the next week. Like if I don't take a day off after a Spartan race or something like that, my body starts paying for it. I start feeling run down. It's like I'm out of resources because my body's trying to handle that huge amount of stress I just put on it. And then if I get a little bit of stress in another department, there's nobody left to go handle that stress, and I get sick.
No. And something I want to add, which is kind of an interesting thing about stress, is they've done studies now that show 2 hours of if you're exposed to a stressful situation for 2 hours, you actually change your gut microbiome. You actually kill off the good bacteria after 2 hours of stress. And so going back to, what's happening in our current environment is don't put the news on all day long. Go to a reputable source maybe once a day to find out how your county's doing. What are the new updates? But having the news on this constant repeat is putting a lot of stress on an already kind of a stressful situation, and you're actually lowering your immune system when you do that.
Dude, Tammy, you're so crazy, man. So I'm reading this old school Napoleon Hill book right now, Laws of Success. And I think I just read that this morning. This was written in 1925. He talked about, I got to read this to you. And then there's a question I wanted to read to you that was a good answer. But basically, if I can't find it here in just a second, then I'll summarize it. He said that, okay, yeah, so I'm not going to find it right now, but basically the thoughts that we have in our heads resonate biochemically within our body, right? That very simply, if you hold negative thoughts, the cells in your body become negative or start to work against us. And this is something that some dude wrote in the 1920s. This is something that acupuncturists and Chinese medicine have talked about for thousands of years, right? And it's being tested still in today's modern science, and it's being said. And some of you guys still live in this world of like, dude, let me complain about everything and feel terrible all the time. You have a choice to be happy. You have a choice to control your environment. You have a choice to turn your TV off. Pick up a Napoleon Hill book. Tune into Tammy and Mai's podcast. Get some positive stuff in here so you can get your body to do positive things with its cellular level.
Yeah, because that's to your point, anxiety and depression are absolutely tied to gut health too. So when our gut bacteria isn't in line, it will upregulate certain enzymes that will actually it's called the tryptophan steal. It will steal tryptophan, which we get when we eat protein. Tryptophan is the precursor to serotonin, which is the master mood regulator, right? 90% of our serotonin is made in our digestive tract. So if you're having negative thoughts, constantly surrounding yourself with, stress, not sleeping, as to Josh's point, not eating a good diet, you're going to have a greater tendency to not be happy, right? So if you already struggle with that, you need to really, focus in on some of those things and fix that gut.
Love it. Love it. If you had something else you want to touch on, I don't want to steal you off of that chain of thought, but we had a couple of questions come in that might be good for you.
Okay, sure.
Did you want to go down that road any further? Was there anything else that you wanted to share with us on this topic?
Just one thing though that I just wanted to mention is, and I can send out a recommendation if you guys are interested, but I really would advise all of you to start a good quality probiotic. So in addition to all of these things with the good food, we need to put the good stuff in the form of a good quality probiotic, and then basically we feed that probiotic with a good diet, right? So it's a kind of a two-prong approach. Where'd we go? I hear you. There, I think we're both back. We both
okay, yeah, we got a little connection issue there for a
second. But anyway, that's just one of the things is on my to-dos for everybody is to, and I'll make sure and send out which probiotic I recommend, is to get on a good quality one. So that way, along with a good diet.
Awesome. So, nice.
No,
all right.
Anything else? Yeah, I have a list of you.
Awesome. All right. Well, let's tune in a couple of these questions real quick. There was a good one about collagen. I'm going to post it on the screen real quick. It says, do collagen building foods really help with tendon inflammation? For example, physical inflammation, i.e. nutritional solutions to things like connective tissue inflammation. Any thoughts on that?
Well, there's not a lot of study. I mean, collagen does help with our connective tissue, absolutely. And as we age, we produce less connective tissue and less collagen. So there's not a lot of science yet that 100% says, yes, this is the end-all, be-all, cure-all. There are some positive studies that say, yes, it does help. It helps with skin elasticity. The one thing I would caution against is, and again, back to tryptophan, is excessive collagen intake over time can actually deplete tryptophan. So you want to be careful not to have if you're having 2 protein shakes a day, 3 protein shakes a day, and you're living on collagen as your sole protein source, I would recommend not doing that, just because there is some preliminary research that shows it pulls tryptophan out of the body as well through competition.
Okay, nice, Tammy.
So I'd be careful a little bit with that one. But
do you mind if I share another one for you?
Yeah, go ahead.
This one said, any thoughts on prebiotics? This is also a topic that I'm interested in. I've done a lot of research on this idea of prebiotics.
Yeah, I mean, so here's the thing. So let's say we give ourselves a probiotic. Prebiotics are needed to feed them, right? And so you can get some prebiotics, fibers like inulin, Jerusalem artichokes. There is this company that I like for the probiotic. They actually make a really good prebiotic powder as well. But no, there is absolutely science behind taking prebiotics in order to keep those probiotics fat and happy.
I think the idea too that I think you kind of touched on it, going back to prebiotics, you talked about the two-pronged approach for our gut biome. The two-pronged approach being probiotics, it kind of gives our gut some assistance, right? And then the prebiotics is actually, again, what the probiotics feed off of. So when you are doing this two-pronged approach, you're eating really good, positive foods. Your things like your polyphenols, your phytonutrients, things that come from plants primarily, those things help improve your gut biome as well. Is that correct?
Yeah, you need the fiber. So the probiotics, the bacteria, they feed on fiber, right? So that is how, if without fiber, we can't make the short chain fatty acids in our colon, which provide a lot of health benefits in addition to giving us energy. I have a little bit, again, the whole low carb thing, right? Atkins, keto, they are actually can be, I don't want to step on too many toes, but can be quite detrimental to the GI tract, because if you go completely 100% carb free, it's very difficult to get fiber. Right? You get fiber from all your vegetables, from your fruits, from your leafy greens, right? I'm not a let's eat a bunch of crackers and chips and cookies, and I'm not talking about those kind of carbs, right? But like my top three are oats, because oats contain beta glucans, which actually can not only give us soluble and insoluble fiber. Those beta glucans actually help our immune system increase what are known as natural killer T cells, which is our immune system big guns. They go out there with the big guns and kill all the bad guys out. Beans, because beans give you that fiber. They also give you iron and magnesium, which are needed in our body naturally. And then sweet potatoes, right? So those are the types of carbs that I'm referring to when I say, hey, we don't want to go completely carb free, because if you don't have those foods in there, the good bacteria have a hard time surviving in a non-fiber environment.
Yeah, I think a lot of our keto athletes too, we don't have to go too deep on this, but I like Juice Plus as a supplement for me personally. And for a lot of our athletes, primarily what I like about the idea with Juice Plus is that they actually pulverize the entire fruit. So you're actually getting the skin, you're getting the seeds, you're getting the whole fruit is pulverized. And that's about getting the enzymes and the fibers and the digestive health for a lot of the stuff that we typically wouldn't eat through because of texture or taste or something like that. But a lot of my keto athletes specifically, I'm like, dude, if you're not eating your fruits and veggies, then we got to get you some type of fruits and veggies, because you got to have something there. But also when we're talking about carbohydrates, to Tammy's points, it's not crackers, it's not cookies. And a lot of you guys wouldn't actually be violating your keto principles if you had more cruciferous vegetables in there. Right. So instead of just like being on the carnivore diet, for example, right, where some people are just eating meat only, which is interesting. There's been some studies about some of the benefits of that. But just anything you do is going to have a benefit if that's what you're measuring, right? So if you're just measuring what's the benefit of this, like there's going to be a benefit. You'll find an answer to that question, right? But all of those things coming back full circle. I think the expressions don't. That's a terrible expression. The baby with the bathwater expression. I'm not even sure I want to use that right now. But the whole concept of it's okay to get away from unnatural, high processed things, but we probably should still be eating some type of veggies with that stuff. So if we had that same meal, that steak, but now you added let's say you went out, you did like a steak arugula salad with some fatty dressing and you had a side of some
avocado on there.
Put some avocado, you get, and then maybe have a little bit of a sweet potato on it. You got a pretty low glycemic index meal there. But you've also got some stuff that's going to help you digest that heavy steak or that heavy amount of protein that you're putting in your body.
Right.
All right, I got a couple more questions, and then we actually want to try and keep these around 30 minutes. And I think that Tammy and I could probably sit here all day and just talk about stuff like this because we love it. So I'm going to take these last two questions, and I think it'll be time for us to wrap it up. So there was a talk, it says, I'll show this one. It says something on a touch of turmeric black pepper helps enhance digestibility of, I'm not sure that word,
curcumin. Yeah, curcumin is the bioactive component of turmeric. And yes, bioperine, which is black pepper, helps with the absorption. There goes my computer screen again. It does help with the absorption. So yes, you want to have a little bit of black pepper. Normally, to be for anti-inflammatory benefits, the turmeric will still help because you're not going to want to throw black pepper in your tea. But if you're going to cook something with it, adding a little black pepper as a seasoning will help. I've got a couple supplements. Pure Encapsulations has a really nice curcumin, bioperine, or black pepper blend that if you're looking for something that's really good. But yes, they are correct, and that black pepper does help with the absorption of the bioactive component of turmeric.
Nice. This was the last question of the day. This one says, there are a lot of digestive enzymes out there in the market. Is there a value to the claim of regenerating the gut biome with supplemental enzymes?
Yes, actually, it just sort of depends. You kind of need to make sure, though, that you have low digestive enzymes before you give yourself digestive enzymes, because you'll really hurt yourself if all of a sudden you take a digestive enzyme or like hydrochloric acid. That's usually what a lot of dietitians will do, is they'll give a little bit of a hydrochloric acid. But if you already have enough, you are going to feel it. It's going to come right back up and it's going to hurt. But taking a mild, like an ox bile, for instance, or some sort of a pancreatin with meals, after meals. You don't want to do it before. You want to do it after you've started your meal, because you want your body to try to promote your own digestive enzymes. Mm-hmm. But what has happened is that we've sort of lost our ability to digest food over the years, especially for those vegetarians or vegans out there who want to maybe try to incorporate some animal foods at some point in time. I hear from a lot of them they can't do it. They feel sick. And it's because our bodies have adjusted and are not secreting the digestive enzymes quite as much. So the question basically is, if you're not producing enough, your microbiome will suffer. So if you give a digestive enzyme with a meal, it will help digest the food down enough so that what bacteria is in there has more bioavailable food. So yeah, that one is a big one. One thing you can do is try a little bit of apple cider vinegar in a glass of water about 10 to 15 minutes before you eat, and that will also stimulate enzymes to help you digest your food. So that's one thing that you can start with first that will help. And if that doesn't work, or you don't notice a difference, or it doesn't agree with you, there's quite a few different digestive enzymes that I recommend.
I think one thing that I learned really early in my bodybuilding career, just high protein diets, anyways, unnatural lifestyle for a while there.
They cause problems.
Yeah, I didn't do anything extracurricular in regards to like supplements, but I did everything I could as it pertained to mass gainers and like a casein protein shake before bed. I think it was 3 shakes a day. It was 3. Gosh, I can't even remember at this point. I'll try to walk you through my bodybuilding diet for a second. This is a long time ago, Tammy. I've done better now, so don't judge me. I know better now.
I can imagine, because I used to probably do them too back in the day.
So I think I used to get up in the morning and I would have I think it was 7 egg whites and 4 eggs. It was a little over 10 total eggs. So I'd break 10 eggs. So I'd go through a Costco thing of eggs. I think I'd go through 2 of those a week. So 11 eggs in the morning. And it was like an omelet. I would make it with cheese and spinach and onions and some veggies for some value there. Then with breakfast, I'd have a big thing of orange juice. I'd have my oatmeal, and my oatmeal was all the fixings, my berries, my almonds, some cinnamon. I used to love my oatmeal. So that was my first meal of the day. I believe within like maybe an hour of that, I would drink my first protein shake. I believe within an hour of that, I would have like some apples with some nut butter or something like that. Within like another hour of that, it was like my first meal already of the day, my lunch meal. And then at that point, I was doing like 8 ounces of chicken or steak, some kind of protein, some type of rice, probably no vegetables. It was all about macro count. I didn't even think about the fact that I was doing greens or not. It was just about macros. I just needed to hit my number of protein, carbs, and fats, right? So it was probably just rice and protein. I'd go work out, come back from the workout, have my mass gainer shake with the milk in it and everything, right? Like one of those giant shakes. Yeah. I'm putting all this. I'm putting probably 250 grams of protein in a day.
What did you weigh?
Close to 5,000 to 6,000 calories a day, and it worked. I got massive. I was jacked, right? Some of you guys will see some of my pictures around the gym and stuff. I used to be big. But after I finished the last show that I ever did in bodybuilding, I was training a session one day, and my stomach just started hurting. Right? Like hurting to the point where like I'm training a client, I'm in my trainer stance, I'm doing my thing, and I'm like, give me 5 more, I'm going to sit down over here. If you've ever trained a session with me, I'm not a sit-down trainer. I don't sit down in a workout. But I had to sit down in a box, hurled over, coach somebody, and I told Heidi, I was like, something's not right. My stomach doesn't feel right. And so we ended up asking for some help. And turns out I had like a gut parasite that was like massive. And so I ended up having to go and like get a colonic. If you've never done that, too much information, don't get to that point. Dude, oh my God. Especially dudes, you don't want to do it. I promise you don't want to do it. So I went and did that, and they clear your gut out, right? And they go in the reverse way. So if you're not sure what a colonic is, you can Google it. It sucks. But basically they get your stomach muscles to start working again, because my stomach, it was dealing with so much protein, and it wasn't getting anything to help move that protein out. I wasn't putting any greens in or anything to take care of my digestive tract. I wasn't promoting my gut biome. My gut biome could not eat the food that I was putting in there, and I was putting it in so much and so frequently that eventually like other things started coming to life inside my stomach and eating that food. Right. So all that being said, man, there's so much to be said about what Tammy's talking about. But I also learned, because this is a learning process for me in my bodybuilding career, they started having me take digestive enzymes after that because I needed help to regenerate my system. But nobody ever had a conversation with me about the idea that you're not supposed to take digestive enzymes forever to do all the heavy lifting, right? Like it's meant to jumpstart the system a little bit. But if you have something that's eating your food for you, you're not teaching your gut how to do it, right? So again, going back full circle to the thought that our body is awesome. Our body is smart. Our bodies are amazing. They're incredible vessels. If you're taking something to do the job of your body for you, that's probably a Band-Aid fix. That's probably not a long-term solution. Long-term solutions look like managing your health through eating great food, getting your leafy green vegetables in, really managing your stress levels, exercising in a smart way, hydrating appropriately. All the stuff we know how to do that stuff and stop thinking about it, do it. And that's how we stay healthy. Long-term thinking.
Yep. Everything in moderation too. I know that's, again, another cliche statement, but it's true. It really does. I mean, you can have a glass of wine, you can have a beer, you can have a burger, right? It's just you don't want to do lots of it every day, all day long, and not have the good stuff come in.
Tammy, you were amazing. This was a very quick 45 minutes. I feel like we just got started, and I feel like I got 100 other questions about nutrition I want to ask you today, but we'll stop on inflammation for now. This was a good talk. Tammy, how can people find you? Where do we find you at if we want to connect further, ask further questions? Do you have any programs going on right now? What's your website? Where can we find you at?
Okay, so I am actually just redoing my website. I do have one. It's there. It's just sort of an older one, so I'm hoping to have a new and improved one. But it's healthyfitnutrition.com is my website. I'm on Instagram. It's basically similar. It's Healthy Fit, but it's NUTR. So that you, back in the day, they made you abbreviate. You can only have so many letters. So when I first started, I had to limit it to it. I am working on putting together some online programs as we speak, but I am available for one-on-one. Like I mentioned before, I do, if anyone's interested in doing any kind of stool testing so that you could figure out exactly what your microbiome looks like, I use Diagnostic Solutions GI Map. It's, if you have a PPO insurance, the test itself, most of it will be covered. Between my fee and that, it's about $450, $500 to do the test, but it tells you any kind of opportunistic bacteria that's in there, if you've got yeast that shouldn't be in there, any viruses, any pathogens, tells you what your levels of your good bacteria are. So it's really cool because then you can go in and, you know, through supplements and diet, change it so that it gets to be right on track with where you want it to be. So you can reach out. My email, Josh, you can put down, it's tbroderick@healthyfitnutrition.net. That's my email. Feel free to reach out with questions if you have anything you want to ask, you know, about this or there, you know, anything else. Just reach out and then my phone, if you want to give me my business cell, it's 949. Healthy, Josh. It's HEALTHY.
Oh, see, look at that, man. Misspelling. Come on, Josh. I got it right on the other one, I think. Let's see. There you go.
There you go. And then the cell is 949-723-9533. And that's a cell. You can text me anytime.
Awesome, Miss Tammy. Truly appreciate the information today. You were wonderful. Always love learning from you. Gosh, man, it's fun getting to work with you as, like, I guess, like your coach, to be able to train you in the gym. But it's definitely it's two ways, man. I feel uplifted by you every time I get a chance to work with you. Every time I've ever had a question come across my desk I couldn't answer, you've always been a really good resource for me. So thank you, Tammy. Truly appreciate you. I'm glad you're healthy and great throughout this time. I'm glad your family's healthy and great throughout this time. And if you ever need anything from us, Miss T, you know we're here for you, girl. Thank you so much. You're awesome.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody, for joining.
Take care, guys. Have a phenomenal day. Much
Bye.
love.